Hello everyone, hope you all are doing great. Big warm welcome to our Expert Edge Masterclass brought to you by Shine.com. Actually, we are super excited to have you here for today's session on getting started with AWS for developer developing application with EC2, Lambda and RDS. Do you guys know, like, as of 2025, AWS continues to dominate the global cloud infrastructure market with a 30% share. Services like Amazon EC2, S3, and RDS remain among the top choices for developers worldwide. Notably, AWS Lambda has seen a significant surge in adoption, with usage growing by 36% year over year, reflecting the industry shift towards serverless architectures. AWS simplifies application deployment by offering a suite of service that ensure efficiency, scalability, and reliability. Today, you'll gain foundational knowledge to kickstart your journey in developing application using AWS like services like EC2, Lambda, and RDS. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. I am Preeti, your host for the session, and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our speaker, Mr. Atin Gupta. Atin is a seasoned IT professional with over 22 plus years of experience in technology space, specializing in cloud computing and enterprise architecture. With deep expertise in AWS and Google Cloud Platform, Atin has successfully delivered numerous cloud migration, DevOps automation, and data engineering projects for clients across various industries. Proficient in AWS cloud services, including EC2, S3, Lambda, RDS, and more, Atin has a strong understanding of cloud infrastructure design, security best practices, and cost optimization strategies. With a focus on high availability architectures, microservices, and CI/CD pipeline, he has enabled organization to improve efficiently scalability and security in their cloud environment. Additionally, Atin offers training and consulting services as well, helping team build robust cloud native application, automate workflow, and implement best practices in cloud. Whether working with client to design custom solution or guiding them through complex cloud adoption strategies, Atin is committed to providing impactful result-driven solutions that drive business success. With his vast experience and deep technical knowledge, Atin is here to simplify AWS for you. This session will not only introduce to the basic but also provide insight into real world application, best practices, and common pitfall to avoid. Whether you are looking to improve deployment efficiency or enhance your cloud skill, you are at the right place. So, ready to learn, explore, and upskill? Feel free to ask questions, take note, and most importantly, enjoy the learning experience. Without further delay, let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Atin. Over to you, Atin.
Thanks, Preeti. Thanks a lot. So I think many of us has joined over here, and I am excited to guide you on how to start with cloud. AWS is one of the cloud platform. I know Azure and GCP and also Oracle. Most of the things are similar. If you know one thing, with minimal effort, you will know other things as well. So it is not me. I have not done anything special, but if you do one thing, technology is similar. One thing is 90% similar to other thing. That is my belief. So let's do one thing. I will basically I focus on delivering the things in a practical way so that I'll tell you how to connect to AWS portal, how to create the necessary resources, and how to deploy a simple hello world kind of application so that you can deploy your own application. Also, in this, I will also tell you how to connect with the GitHub and download our source code from GitHub and deploy it to other platforms like EC2, Lambda, and use RDS. Okay, so let's start. Let me share my screen. Once, Preeti, let me know once it is visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, so let me open the browser. At any moment, if somebody feels I am going very fast or very slow or any adjustment anywhere, you please let me know. And I am now basically what I am doing is I am now connecting to AWS portal. The URL is aws.amazon.com. All the notes which I am, whatever I am presenting, I have prepared the notes of those as well. I will share those notes as well, right, in the comment section so that you can check all the steps which I have explained to you, how to create the resources, how to deploy your websites over those resources. Okay, and even this is being recorded, so we can check that later on. So what I'll do is, first of all, let me log out.
Sorry to interrupt, Atin. Actually,
Yep.
people are saying that there's two people saying that they are not able to see screen. Like I think they must be facing some network issues. So I would like to request them to kindly check their network or rejoin the session because it's visible.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And notes he will share. Like people are asking also that how you will share the notes.
Yeah, I'll share in the comments over here also, and also I'll share, we will share in the comments of the recorded videos on YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever the recording is available. Okay, so I'll let just give me a few minutes. Let me start, and everything will be shared. Okay, so first of all, we will connect to the console. So I'll go and say sign in. You should have a AWS login account. Currently in this session, I am not sharing you how to create a AWS login account. It is super simple. Once you click on create new AWS account, it is a guided tour. You will be able to create it. Okay. AWS gives you a free trial. Okay. For 1 year. And many of the services are free. Some of the services are paid. So almost you pay, you don't need to pay anything, and for the initial 1 month or so almost everything will be free for you. Okay, so you can do that. Now over here I am trying to log in, so I'll say okay, just provide the details. Let me just go to the AWS console once again, sign into the console, right, and over here I will log in, right. So I will say that what is my account ID, what is my IAM user, what is my password. So these things, or there is an option called sign in using root user email. Okay, so I'll sign in using root user email. I have a root user account. Root user means it is having the full administration rights. So let me provide the credentials. So you will not be able to do it along with me because you don't have an account. But after the session is over, you can refer to the recordings and then connect. Okay, so I am logged in. Now regarding the notes, give me a sec. Okay, I am sharing a GitHub URL in this chat itself as of now. Okay, we will provide it in the YouTube and LinkedIn comments as well for our listeners on YouTube and LinkedIn. And this particular GitHub URL is having almost everything. So for example, if I open this, let me show you what is there inside. So if I open this, so over here I have the details like content mainly. And over here you see what is the AWS, what are the core services we are discussing about, all these things. And the main detailed sections and the notes are there, the practicals. These three practicals we are doing. today to understand how to deploy an application to EC2. So I will be taking a Python application and deploying it over here. So I'm giving you all the details. Sign in to this link, then provide the login credentials, then navigate to EC2, launch instance, everything. Step by step is written over there as well. And I will also demonstrate everything over here. Okay. So please go through it if you want to go through. I'm taking a pause of 30 seconds over here. Just take a hold of everything what I have shared with you. Then I will move towards creating a EC2 instance. I've shared the URL once again. So I think some of you are not able to get the URL. Please take it and have it in your notes. And don't worry, we will provide it in the you see recording sessions also. Dilshad Ali saying, Preeti, are you getting the URL? And some of the participants saying that okay, we are not getting the link.
Uh, I will share because I think you have shared only host and panelist one. Na?
Yeah,
I will
yeah,
share
correct.
it.
Okay, please share. Yeah.
I have shared.
Okay. Now it is shared to everyone. Yeah, yeah. Please. Okay, so you can check this. Mainly, you need to focus on what I am doing. The content is there everywhere, but you need to understand, ask the question if you are having any problem. Now, let me tell you how to create a EC2 instance. Okay, so first of all, what you need to do is go to the search bar and I will search EC2. EC2 means the virtual machine, the compute power. So I just search EC2. The full form of EC2 is Elastic Cloud Compute. C2 means double C actually. That is what they have taken. So Elastic Cloud Compute over here, right? So I go there and I just scroll down a little bit. You see all the details and help. So I'll click on launch instance over here. You see this one. So I'll create a new instance. So whenever we create an instance, like it is something like you are buying a laptop from the market. So whenever you buy a laptop, you need to tell what is the configuration of it, what is the operating system should be there inside it. And since it is on the cloud, we need to just mention these two things plus some network related settings because it will be connected to the network. Now over here, suppose I give the name to it, Atin dash EC2, right? And then scroll down. It will ask you what operating system you want. So we will use Ubuntu operating system in this demonstration. Depending on your choice, you can choose any of the operating system which are available here. Scroll down. And you just need to mention what is the instance type, means the configuration. It is automatically having 2 CPU, 1 GB memory. Now, one thing you need to note whenever you will do the practical later on, some of the instance types are free tier eligible. So if you click on this, you see some of the instance types are free tier eligible. You see over here, this one is free and need to check. Okay, there are 2, 3 different free tiers eligible. You need to check and only use those which are free tier eligible. It seems only one instance type as of now is free tier. It means if you are having a free tier subscription, you are the new user to AWS, you will not be charged. Okay, so it is better to choose this. Okay, that's all. So nothing to do much over here. There is one more setting which you can enable, firewall. allow HTTP traffic, right? So these kind of things, it is automatically allowed as of now for SSH. Let me allow HTTP also. Like this, we can allow, like, because we are hosting a website, we should allow HTTP also, right? So these are the things you need to just have a look. Anything you need to change it, and nothing else. Okay. Any specific question anybody is having, you please put a question in the chat. Otherwise, I'll click on launch instance. Okay, so let me click on that. So it is asking me to create a key pair. Key pair means the security is required, like some credentials are required to connect to this EC2 instance. It is created, I need to connect to it in future. So for that, there is a public and private key which is required. So it will be generated and I will be downloading it. So I say create a new key pair and I say Atin key pair. Okay. And I say launch instance. That's all. So it will download a private key for me using which I can connect to it. So that's all. It will basically take few minutes, in fact, few seconds to download this over. So you see the instances created successfully. So basically in AWS cloud or any cloud platform, whenever you create any instance like compute power, if you want to have it only for 30 minutes or for 1 hour, like we have did this today, they will be charging you only for that duration. So for example, for this particular practical, if we are having it for 1 hour, might be it will charge around $0.50, something like that, or 1/4 dollar or 10 cents, we can say. It's like that. Okay, please write the questions in the any questions in the Q&A tab. I will have a look on that and will respond to you. Okay, next is about how to connect to this. So I open this particular instance, and over here you see if I click on that, it's showing me the couple of instances whatever created. Currently only one created, it's showing up. So it is the compute power which is available. Now you just need to connect to it. You can connect it in the browser as well, or if you know how to connect via some SSH client, you can connect using that also. Currently, if you check, status check is initializing, means this machine is still booting up. It will take around 1 minute to complete the process, but you are having a public IP address of it. See, this is the public IP. You can have a note of this public IP address, right? So you can just copy 13.61.12.209. So what is the benefit? Whenever I am ready, I have deployed the application using this IP address, you can browse that web application, right? So that is one thing. So now if I want to connect to it, what is the way to connect? For that purpose, there is an option called connect over here. And once I say connect, it will give me that this is the public IP. If you want to connect to it using SSH client, this is the user ID Ubuntu, and private key I have downloaded. So I need to provide a private key when connecting, right? And since I am connecting on the browser, I can just simply connect, click on connect, click connect, and it will open a new tab and I will be connected in the browser. It is the easiest way to connect to the EC2 instance. And this facility is provided, as far as I know, inside AWS only, not in other cloud platforms. It is super simple to connect to EC2 instance. So over here, you see, I am having a Ubuntu interface. It will not even ask me the login ID because I am already authenticated on AWS. You see over there. Okay. Now, if I want to do anything inside it, like I want to update it, sudo apt update. So it is a update operating system command in Ubuntu. And all these commands are available inside the GitHub link I have shared with you. No, Jaya Chandran, we don't need to install AWS in the PC. There is no need of installing anything in our PC. We just need to log into a AWS portal and then create a EC2 instance. Although there is a AWS CLI utility which we can install if required, but as of now in this practical and most of the time it is not required. When we want to create a EC2 instance, for example, programmatically, you want to create a EC2 instance using Python or shell script or any kind of script, then you need to use a AWS CLI inside your PC. But as of now, we are doing everything on the portal. Okay, but that is done. That can be done. It is for advanced users. So this is basically not for advanced user. No, it is to get started with these 2-3 instances. Okay, EC2 and all. So if you see over here, this EC2 instance is updated as well. So now let's do one thing. Let me quickly install the things inside it. Okay, regarding the payment and everything, let's can we talk about after this demonstration is over, right? So we will have a dedicated time for that. We'll discuss because everybody might have the same question. So I'll explain. Now, what we need to do is I am logged in. I have created a EC2 instance. These things are done. I have updated. So the thing is, I am having a Python application. I will install Python inside it if it is already not there. Give me a sec. Yeah. So if you see Python 3.12.3 is already there. I am checking the Python version. It is already there. If it is not there, I will install it, right? Now I am having a repository which is a Flask hello world. This repository, you can find this URL in the content which I shared with you, and I'm having a separate application called Flask hello world. So if I want to show you about this, what is this application all about, let me tell that to you. So I just copy this URL. If I just open it, it is this very simple hello world application. So you see, this is the application. And if you see over here, I am having app.py, and it is a very simple application. Whenever I hit it, it will give the details of this webinar. In fact, the connection details, YouTube, LinkedIn, everything will be available. So it is a simple application. And in Python, there is some dependencies I need to install like Flask, GNU form. Okay, this is the app.py which is having the code. So all these things are. So what I am doing is I am now cloning this using Git. So directly I am saying git clone. This is the URL. And after this, I go to that folder. In the next 2 minutes, I will be setting up this application. So it is very quick to do it on the cloud. You can see. So let me do this. So I'm going to that directory and then I'm saying install Python virtual environment. So this Python virtual environment I am installing because I need to install the dependencies. So these are the installation instructions, Python installation instructions, Python virtual environment creation, and then I'll just run the command. All the commands are available in GitHub content. So don't worry about the command. Just focus on understanding the thing, right? So I'll go to that directory. There is my code and I will install all the dependencies now, right? And that's all. I am done, right? So it is very simple. So I just say now Python app.py. Now my application is up and running. I can connect to this application easily. So that is all. So I'm having an application. I have set up a Python environment in EC2. deployed the application using git clone, and booted up the application. So it is as simple as that. And using the EC2 instance public IP address, I can easily connect to my application. Yeah, logs can be configured, but as of now, we are not discussing about how to configure the log in EC2. That we will see when we will deploy the Lambda, the application via Lambda, how to configure the log. I will show that over there. But yeah, over there in EC2 also the logs can be configured. Currently, I have not done anything about configuring the log in EC2. Yeah, Ankit, about your question, why we use EC2? EC2 is a compute instance where we need a compute power uh, for serving our application. So our Python application needs compute power. That's why we use EC2. Instead of EC2, we can use different other things as well, like Lambda, okay, or Docker or Kubernetes. There are many things, but there should be some compute power we should have. So EC2 is a compute power. How to set .env, we will discuss about it in the next application, which we are deploying it using Lambda. That I will show to you. This is a very simple hello world application. So I am not showing that. Okay. So now the question is how we will connect to this EC2 instance. So for example, this is the EC2 instance and I'm having the public IP address of this. This is the public IP. And if you see, this is listening on port number 5000. So I just say 5000. It should be able to serve. Let me tell you the differences between EC2, Lambda, and RDS. Once I am done with all of these three, right? Then I think it will be the better to understand by everybody. So I will explain this to you. We have a dedicated Q&A session in the last, in that we'll discuss about. Now over here, if you see, this is the IP address colon 5000. Continue to site. Once I do this, it will be showing me that one. Okay, currently it is showing some error, unable to see, and don't support the secure connection. So there are two things we need to do for this. One is use HTTP instead of HTTPS. We need to mention like this, right? And it is not reachable as of now, you see over here. So for this, what we need to do is we need to give the permission on port number 5000, right? So currently our port number 5000 is not exposed to the internet. I will show you that to you in a moment. So this is the, you can note it down, IP address colon 5000, and then you can hit. To answer Jaya Chandran, we have to pay subscription for account creation. No, you don't need to pay anything for account creation. But if you are using the resources which are paid, you will get a bill after 1 month from AWS that you need to pay. That is the only thing you need to do. Otherwise, nothing like that. Okay, now let me show you how we allow this permission, right? So that the users can connect. So I go to the EC2 instances over here. Now, if you see over here, there is an option called security. This one. I click on security. I scroll down. Over here you see there is something called inbound rules, and the port number 80, port number 22, it is being accessed or something. These kind of inbound rules are there. So 80 is allowed, but we are using port number 5000. So what we need to do is we need to click on, let me zoom in here. So over here, this is the thing. So I need to click on what? I need to click on the security group. So over here, scroll down. There is something called security group launch wizard 2. It will open a new interface. Yeah, Rahul, we can do that. But we need to have we can have a deep learning. But I think all of you please requested to put your questions in the Q&A session, right? So it will be easy for me to answer. Okay, so let me do one thing. I am over here now in the security group. Let me tell you first how to connect, how to allow the inbound ports, and then I will answer some of the questions you asked. I open the security group, and over here I say edit inbound rules, and I add a rule. I say custom TCP 5000 000 means anybody can connect to the port number 5000, right? So that is what I am allowing. So now custom TCP 5000 port number anybody can connect. So now if I go there and I refresh it, it is allowing. Okay, it is shown. Okay, let me answer some of the questions. Yes, Sachin, we can switch off our EC2 instance, which is available over there in an option. So over here, if you see this instance, I can go to action, and over here there are certain options, instance settings. You see all these options are there. We can manage the options about the stopping the EC2 instance. Okay, and automatically we can stop the instance, sorry, manually we can stop the instance from here itself, stop instance. So if I stop the instance, my costing will not be there. Okay, so for example, somebody is using only for 2 hours in a day, just start and then stop. You consider everything is free. Not everything means some certain resources are free for 1 month, certain others are free for 1 year. So we need to check in Azure portal, it is available. What is free for how much duration? But for 1 month, almost everything is free, provided you are using as a fair usage policy. Okay. And it is also mentioned when you are creating a resource that how much is the cost or it is free or not. Vishal, we can deploy the Gen AI models also. It is another VM. You need to create a high-end VM for that purpose. Yeah, that is possible. Yeah, we can provide a domain name as well. Instead of IP address, we can connect our IP with the domain. That is also. T3.micro, I think it was free when I created it. So if I click on launch instance, yeah, Ankit, security group is mandatory. So T3.micro, it will show that it is free. Yeah, T3.micro is free tier eligible. So I used free version only. Okay, so we are done with this about the first practical about how to deploy using EC2. Any specific question on the EC2 related things, let me know. Otherwise, I'll next show you how to use a Lambda. Yeah, Sumit, we can check what is the network latency. There are logs available. That is possible. There are tools, network testing tools available that can. Hosting the security group is mandatory. Without it, we cannot deploy the, you say, give the permissions. Okay, Ankit. Okay, so let's do one thing because we are having the short of the time. I need to move further and I will explain you how to create a Lambda as well. So what is Lambda? So now the point is whenever we create a EC2 instance, we need to patch it ourselves, right? We need to give the permissions ourselves. Also, EC2 instance is chargeable wherever it is running. Suppose your website is being hosted for couple of days, right? For example, so or for 24 by 7 for the entire year or for every time. So you are paying for EC2 instance all the time. So instead of using EC2 instance, you can use other services as well, like Lambda is there, or some other services are available where you will be paying whenever there is a traffic on your portal, for example. So there are certain services which are based on the workload. There are certain services which are based on the number of hours that you have executed. There are certain services which are not need to be managed by yourself, like updating the operating system, patching the operating system. In EC2, we need to patch and update ourselves, right? So Lambda is one of the services where we don't need to install Python, we don't need to install operating system. So let's see what is this Lambda. So Lambda you can understand like this: you are having a piece of code and you want to call that piece of code and get some response. So for that purpose, you can create a Lambda function. So with 500 hits per minute, we can use EC2 as well, but if it is lakhs per minute, for example, then we can use Kubernetes. Kubernetes is the best service available. Even Lambda is a best service, but Lambda is not for hosting a website. It is for hosting a API, right? So like that. So let me show you how to host, how to work with Lambda next. So for Lambda, you need to go to search and say Lambda. Let me quickly go to there. And for Lambda, I'll say create function. And author from scratch, I say my Lambda, for example, like this. Okay. And my runtime will be Python. So I don't need to install Python. I just say I need Python. That's all. And that's all. Nothing else to be done. I say create function. Now, once it is done, I have told to create a function. I need to put some Python code inside it. So for that purpose, I am having some code pre-written, and this code is available in the GitHub repo I shared with you. Now, if I go to the code, click on code, will take some time to load. Yeah, over here, this is the code. You see, this is the simple hello world code. I don't want to use it. I am replacing it with my own code. So over here, this is my code. And what is this code all about? It is a API where whenever somebody calls /register, it will return the registration link to register with us. Okay. YouTube, LinkedIn, webinar details, like that. I have created this, right? So I have put all the details and now I say deploy. So that is all. I have deployed my Python code with simple few clicks, right? So just I need to have a code, of course, and create a Lambda function, deploy. And one more thing, Lambda will be charged only when we call Lambda. If we are not calling it, we will not be charged. And even per month, a couple of thousand calls, even per day, a couple of thousand calls are free. So suppose we are calling it for around 500 times in a day, there is no charge, in fact. Okay, so Lambda is a super simple, powerful, and almost free if you just want to do some development or learn Lambda services. So I've just deployed it, and that's all. So whenever somebody calls this URL, so I will tell you how to call this URL and all, and it will return this output message: join the webinar or this link. AWS certifications and these details, we will share it after the session, after this demonstration is over. Okay. So let me deploy. Once it is done, Lambda is basically used, Ankit, it is used for the APIs, mainly APIs. So I have created Lambda, right? So this is the having the code, it is serving the code. Now API links I need to create. So for that purpose, I will go to API gateway, API gateway. So API gateway is the front end where the users will connect to the API gateway, and API gateway will in turn call the API functions. So for example, if I click on create API, and over here it is a REST API code, right? The code which I have written is about REST API. So I'll say REST API, and it is new API. I say Lambda API, any name like that, and I'll just say create API. And now after the API is created, I will say, okay, I want to create a resource. Somebody wants to register. So I say resource name is register and create resource. Once I done this, I just say create method. Inside register, there is a get method, get post. If you know about HTTP verbs, I say create method and I say get method. It is a Lambda function and I select the Lambda function over here. Okay, and that's all. Nothing else is to be done. Okay, one thing is left. That is, let me delete this. Oh, sorry. Whenever we are connecting to Lambda function, what we need to do is, let me create an API again. REST API. My REST API. Okay. Now I say create resource. Means I want to connect to register. Right. So I say register. I want to connect, create resource, and inside it using a get method. So I say create method, and I'll select it should be get method, and I'll select the name of the function. And over here there is an option called Lambda proxy integration. So that is important. We need to enable this. Okay, so Lambda basically is this is working as a Lambda as a proxy to Lambda. So somebody will connect to it. It will divert the traffic to Lambda. So that's all. So whenever I want to connect to this API, I say deploy first, and I say new stage, and I say it as dev. So development stage, prod stage, wherever. So I have done the dev. This is the URL of the info. That's all. So I just need to say this one / register. So it was a simple URL over here, and it is giving you the output of, you see, this particular registration. So what I have done, in short, I have created a Lambda function. Then I have given a front end to that Lambda function so that whenever somebody calls the API slash register, it will call my Lambda function. So if I go to the Lambda function, for example, you see over here, so this is the Lambda function which I had just created. And you see, this is the code inside the Lambda function. Let's come. Because my Lambda function is returning the JSON responses. These are the REST API formats. That's why I have chosen REST API over there. Right, Jaya Chandran? So basically, because this is returning a JSON REST API output format, that's why we have chosen REST API. If it is not JSON, it is normal HTML being returned from here, we can use that. So over here, if you see, I have this register slash register. Somebody will call it. The message is click here to register for webinar. So if I just change it to welcome, right? And then I say deploy. Once I do this, just do the change, click on deploy, you are done. Now if I refresh this page over here, and over here it will say welcome. You see this one. So it is as simple as that. You do the changes and they are reflected instantly. And also the costing part, cost is not there because around 1000 calls are free every day for Lambda. Okay, even for the paid accounts, you have registered AWS. Even it is paid account, then also it is free. It is not about free account, it is for paid account also. Lambda is free for a couple of calls every day. Any question? Tell me please. Otherwise, we will move to the RDS, how to integrate RDS and set up a simple website where we will do the CRUD, where the users are connecting, creating a, you say, username, email ID, these kind of details are submitting up, and we are having the entire CRUD application. Okay, any question? Please tell me. I'm waiting for you. Otherwise, after 1 minute, we will continue. So I'm waiting for 1 minute, then we'll continue. So we have discussed a simple Lambda, how to deploy it. See, one thing is there, since it is a short duration webinar, to go about the complexities about each and everything is not feasible as of now. But yes, if it is possible, in future, you can tell us, okay, I need this particular say kind of topic to be discussed in the future webinars. We can prepare and do that also. But I have noticed some of you are asking the questions like how to do the latency check and some of these things. Yeah, we can do it for sure, but as of now we will not be able to showcase that to you how to. Okay, so for, let me see if there is any other answer. Here we integrate API gateway with the Lambda function and user hit to API URL. Please justify how. Okay, we integrate API gateway. So see what happens whenever we are hitting the URL, right? This URL, this is the URL of the API gateway. You see, this is the URL of the API gateway, this one, right? And then slash register. Okay, this is the endpoint of our function. Now, if I go to the API gateway, let me hit on it. So if I see if it is a API gateway, so I am saying that, okay, if somebody says slash register, then where to send the request. Okay. So API gateway is a kind of filter, or it is a kind of, you can say, router between the API, which is in Lambda, and the end user. So it is a front end between these two. So the URL you will hit of the API gateway, and inside the get method of the API gateway, we are telling that, okay, which Lambda function need to be invoked. That is what we are telling, Lambda integration. So the client is calling a method, then this request is sending to Lambda, and the Lambda is giving a response, and that response is coming to the client. So this API gateway is the mediator between Lambda and the client. This is how it works. Okay, so for API directly, there is no URL. In AWS, there is no URL directly hit of the Lambda function. So API URL we are having, this particular API URL I can share in the chat. Okay, so Preeti, you can share it with them. So might be they want to get it. They can.
Done.
Okay, some of you have asked what programming languages are supported. So once you do the deployment, it shows you the list of programming languages. So for example, over here, runtime, Python, all the popular programming languages are supported like .NET, Java, Node.js, Python, Ruby. And in case any of the programming language is not supported, then you can use some other ways. This is the custom way, which is this Amazon Linux 2023 run C++ custom. So that is also possible. But most popular things are these available listed over. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's continue to discuss about how to do and work with RDS. So RDS will take some time. I know some of the questions are unanswered. We will try to explain those in the Q&A session in the last 15 minutes dedicatedly. Some of the things like what is the difference between REST API, HTTP, and all these things, right? So I will try to answer those things, but in the interest of time, because I need to show you RDS also, let me first show you how to work with RDS. Okay, then I will tell you how to, what is the difference between REST API, HTTP API, and all. Yeah, we can use IoT application. Some anonymous attendee it is showing has asked you, but yeah, you can ask. You can do IoT application. For IoT, there is a separate services available inside AWS. We can do. Okay, now for RDS. So what is RDS actually? Whenever we are deploying a website, so for example, let me show you what is a website we will be deploying all about. It is, let me show you the URL. So this is the URL. It is available inside the content already. So if you see over here, we are having static, we are having templates, we are having app, we are having commands, requirements. So means it is a Python Flask application. It is the structure like Python Flask only. Python Flask has app.py, and inside it I am having some APIs. Sorry, not APIs, but yeah, some of the methods having the APIs to interact with the user and render the templates. Okay, So also it is interacting to insert the database, insert the data in database. So I am collecting the data from the form on the HTML page, and it is being inserted in the table in the database. So it is a simple class CRUD application that we will be deploying inside it. So RDS is what? RDS is nothing but a database server available inside AWS. So for example, if I go to RDS, Aurora and RDS managed relational, over here you see these are the options available. Managed relational database service. Okay, as Amazon managed relational database service. So if I click on create database, it will ask you what kind of database you want to create. So for example, these are the options. You can create MySQL database, you can create PostgreSQL database, Oracle, IBM DB2. For Oracle, you must have a license, SQL Server, these things. MySQL is free, we can use this. So these databases we can use. Okay. Now, once this database is created, we can just connect to that particular database programmatically and insert the data to that. So for example, if I want to create a database, I just say databases, create database, and say standard create. I say MySQL. Okay, I want to create a MySQL database, and I say MySQL community. Okay, and then it is a free tier. Again, yeah, I told you there are free tier options available. So if you choose free tier, it is free. So I've chosen free tier, and then it will ask you the username and the password. So whatever password you want to give. So for example, okay, I have given a database password, and then I need to connect it to the public via public. So I will say public access is enabled, for example, and I think that is all. Yeah, that is all. So we will basically give the details about the database. What is the version, like what is the flavor of the database, what is the version, and username, password. It is public. Public means from internet we can connect to it, and so on. So I have given this. I created a database. It will take few minutes to create a database. Okay, so one database is already created. If you see over here, I have created it recently, and there is one more database. Yeah, Rachana, you are saying correct. Lambda is a service used for, say, Lambda is hosting your code. It is a service to host your code, which will get executed whenever called. And API gateway is a mediator between the end user and that code. So you hit the API gateway, gateway is calling the Lambda code. It's like that. Okay, so once it is done, then what need to do? Let me tell you. We need to connect to this database using any MySQL client. So for example, let me show you my MySQL client, which I had created. So if you see at my screen, I will do what? It is a dbeaver MySQL client or dbeaver client, database client. I just say any MySQL client you can use. So in this, I'm using this one. It is very popular and it is used to connect to any type of database. So I click on database and I say new database connection and just say MySQL, for example, this one, next, and provide the MySQL host. So what is the host? So to check that, I need to go to the databases over here, and then I need to take the endpoint out of it. So basically it takes time to create an endpoint. So let me do one thing. Since we are already having database one, I will take the endpoint of this so that I will explain you how to do it. This one, and then the admin is the username and the password I am typing in. Once it is done, I say test connection. Connected, okay, finish. So once I am done, I am connected to it over here if you see. And inside it, I am having a database. If you go to the databases, Flask app, you can create a database yourself. And inside it, I am having a users table. So if I click on this users table, I'm having ID, name, email. So what I want to do is I want to build an application which will collect the data from the user and insert the data to this table. Database and table we have already created, right? So if you want to create a database, it is simple. Just click on right mouse click, create new database. I say Atin DB, right? Once it is done, you can right mouse click and over here you can import the data and many other options are available to do the things, right? So you can create a table from here, create table, and I say okay, let's say employees, and I just give the name of the columns and everything, and it will get created over here. Okay, so I think I don't need to show you how to create a table as of now, but yes, you can create the tables like this. So this is the UI, or you can write a command called create table that is available inside our GitHub. Once again, I have shared that to you. Now, once all this setup is done, what you will do is, let me show you that command which is available in GitHub. First of all, so I'm here and inside it, I go to the content and over here it is number 3 and this is all the content, right? So this is the create table. I have created the table and after that I will clone the repository, and again the steps are simple. Just clone the repository, go to the directory, install the Python environment, install the requirements.txt, source, and boot up. Now, if you go over here, somebody was asking how to use .env. So inside it, I'm using .env. So over here, if you see, there is app.py. .env I am not checked in because .env is having credentials, but I need to create it. So I go to, and over here you see it is doing load.env. Okay, there is a Python package and I am getting the environment variables this way. Okay, if you look at it, you will understand, right? So now let's do all these activities. I'm stopping this server as of now. Let me check if there are any open questions. Yeah, Lambda, you have to learn code. Any code will work, Sarath. The point is how to create a Lambda. What are the different features of it? There are many features inside Lambda. I have shown you only very important and basic things. But yes, Lambda has many things which you can learn. Okay, Lambda, you can say, Deepak, it is similar to ACI or a container. Yeah, that is correct. Whatever ACI does, Lambda does, but how it is set up, what are the features, these are totally different. Okay, so let's move further and I will now set it up. So over here, what I am doing, I am setting up my Python. Once again, I am running the commands one by one. All the commands, once again, I am telling, are available in our content. So you can just refer to it. So I will take another 10 minutes, then we will start a Q&A. Okay. Any questions like related to certification or any general questions we can discuss, and I will try to answer. So I'm just activating the environment over here, and you see this is activated over here, VENV. And once it is activated, I need to clone the repository. I need to go to that repository after cloning. So I say git clone. It is cloned. Now I say AWS-RDS. Let me zoom out. Yeah. Okay, so I am inside this particular directory where all the code is, and I need to do what? I need to do nano.env over here. That is important because the entire environment is to be stored in a .env because we are loading from there itself. So that is important thing that you need to understand. Let me put the content of .env. So this is the content. If you see db host, db name, the db user, and the password, right? For security reasons, we cannot put these details on the cloud. So that's why we can we have put it over here in the .env file. So I just put it, right? And the content of it, depending on your setup, it will change, right? So once it is done, you will do what? You just boot up your application. Source is done, then you just say Python app.py, right? So you will do this. Okay, you need to do one more thing. No module MySQL means it is clearly means you need to do pip install -r requirements.txt because all the dependencies are inside this. So if I just say cat requirements.txt, you see class MySQL, everything is there. Now if I just do with this one, boot up the application, it will be available. So let me just try to refresh it. What is the, let me go to the EC2 instance. What is the IP address? I need to check. Okay, probably need to open the port. Let me see. But we have already opened. Let me check. Okay, this is the EC2. The IP address is incorrect. So this is the instance. Okay. So if you see over here, this is the application which I have created only for this particular session. And this is that application over here, AWS RDS Python Flask app.py. So over here, if you see static template, so it is not how to do the development. It is a simple web development application. So if I click on add new user, and I say Atin and Atin@atin.com. Okay, any imaginary detail, and if I just submit it, it is submitted. Now I want to edit, delete. So like the application is basically hosted easily using EC2 instance, and data is stored inside RDS. Now, how to make sure it is stored in RDS or not? So if I just go to class cap, it is the table, oh sorry, database, and this is table. I go to the users and I check data. So you see this one, right? So this is the thing. Now if I do some changes over here, so instead of Atin, I say Atin Gupta, and over here Atin Gupta something, save changes, right? Now if I refresh it here, it will. So basically, you see, it takes time to do the deployment. What I want to showcase to you, if we are having our code ready, it is a matter of creating a RDS instance quickly within few minutes, and then connecting to it via the code, deploy the code to EC2 instance, and you are done. So deployment will be easy, it will be quick. And if you don't want to use EC2 instance now, what you can do is you can just go to your instances. Like this EC2 instance, I don't want to use, it is running. I go to instance state, I just say stop instance. Now I will not be charged for compute power. Okay, there will be no charges involved. So that is also there is a cost saving involved. There is a very quick availability. Suppose you want to have a very high-end server, 64 core CPU, okay, might be 512 GB RAM. You can create these things in a matter of minute, and it is available to you whenever you are done. You can stop and terminate it. It is used mainly for deep learning. Sometimes we need video editing and deep learning. For that, we need high-end instances. Instead of procuring high-end servers, we can go to cloud and create the high-end servers for some time. Okay, so this was for RDS. We have allocated the last 15 minutes for the Q&A session, although we have done a lot of Q&A in between. But in the last, we have to discuss any open question you want to discuss, please let.
Uh, yeah, then before that, actually, we have a session feedback form which I'm launching from my end. I would like to request everyone, guys, please fill it out. Till now, till then, you can write your questions also. We have a lot of questions, and many of you have answered also.
Yeah, after that also, if you want to put a question in the comment section of YouTube videos, might be I will be able to answer that thing. That is possible.
Yeah, Deepak just posted one question that to create DevOps slash IAC apps in AWS, which language is mostly used? Is it Terraform, JS on Python, or something else?
Okay, let me think and answer. Create DevOps IAC. Usually we do Terraform, Python and JSON. JSON you must know, YML you should know, and JSON is optional. You should know YML, you should know Terraform. Python is not required. Python you not required. There is a Boto 3 library available. If you want to use Boto 3 library, if you search Boto 3, AWS provides a Boto 3 library. For IAC, you can use Boto 3 as well. Boto 3 is used for Python developers. If you are a Python developer, you can use Boto 3 library. Whatever I have done on the portal of AWS, everything you can do via Boto 3 programming API, which is available in Python, and it is from AWS. And there is one more thing which is called AWS Cloud Formation, which is as equal as Terraform. You can use that as. But globally, I have seen many times Terraform is used. In 99% of the companies, Terraform is.
There is a question which people were asking frequently. What are the key difference between EC2, Lambda, and RDS?
RDS is like RDS comparison to EC2 is a apple to orange comparison. Actually, RDS is a totally different type of service which is available for storing the data. Okay, you want to store the database like tables created. So it is a database service, RDS. So we cannot compare RDS with EC2, for example. So functionality wise, it is totally different. The purpose is totally different. Now EC2, you can say, is a infrastructure service where you need to create EC2, you need to install Python, you need to patch, you need to do everything. It is a compute. But in Lambda, you just need to tell which programming language I want. They will do everything for you in the backend. Basically, you have to do nothing apart from telling the name of the Lambda and the name of the programming language. That's all. But in EC2, you need to do much more. The cost of EC2 might be less comparatively to Lambda, depending on the situation, right? It depends. But Lambda is one more thing. Lambda is vendor lock-in. Means if you are using the Lambda, you are able to do the deployment of your code in AWS only because Lambda is provided by AWS only. EC2 EC2 equivalent, 100% equivalent is available in every cloud. In Azure, it is cloud. It is called as virtual machine, right? So in AWS, you can create a virtual machine. Whatever is in EC2, you can shift it to virtual machine in Azure. So depending on your choice, depending on your long-term vision, you can choose one over the other of Lambda and EC2. But in case you are not planning to shift to any other cloud and you want to write the APIs, mainly the APIs, for that you use Lambda. So you can say, I want to use AWS, there is no plan to shift to any other thing, and I want to write API. Then the best is Lambda in AWS. One more thing I want to tell you, for each problem, there are multiple services available in AWS, and initially while you are learning, you might get confused that this thing can be done by this, by this, by this, by this also. Then which one I should use? So there is a common question, and gradually by practice, you will learn. Like I have given an example of EC2 and Lambda. It is a confusion which happens most of the time while learning any cloud. Yeah, Preeti, you were saying something.
Atin, if you want, you can stop sharing your screen.
Okay.
Vishal is asking, can you add simple Gen AI model deployment session for upcoming session? We'll try. uh, Sharad is asking, and resume, what are the skills to be mentioned to get it shortlist for interviews?
It is. You see, if you are focusing like that, we see, first of all, I want to say whatever is the latest skill available, you need to learn. As of now, ChatGPT, Copilot, and any cloud, AWS, Azure, GCP, mainly AWS and Azure in India. If you are targeting in India, AWS and Azure are mostly demanded. So you need to be expert in AWS, first of all. You should know GitHub Copilot, you should know ChatGPT, you should know some kind of AI related tools. You should know some programming language if you are in the development. These three, four skills, if you practice, like you can crack any interview. But the point is not about putting the things in your resume. You should know those things as well very well. Then it is easy. So learn these three, four things and you will be done. So mainly the cloud and any Copilot or ChatGPT, these kind of stuff will be beneficial to you.
Uh, we have one similar type of question, necessary certifications and benefits.
See, first of all, the benefits, necessary certification, I will give you the link or the name in a while. I need to just check the exact name. So there is AWS certified AWS certified developer associate. If you search with this name, AWS Certified Developer Associate. This certification you should do if you are a developer, or if you are a administrator, then there is a separate certification. Then that I will tell you. But the benefit is that if you are having a certificate, the recruiter who is shortlisting the resume, you are giving him say opportunity to easily filter out and select your resume. His time is saved. Nowadays, what happens for a single job, there are thousands of the resume, and very quickly they want to search it. So they will put first on the filter who is certified. That is the first or second filter they apply. So if you are certified, it will be very high chance you will be selected for interview. Now after that, it is on you how you will perform in the interview. So that is the main benefit of a certificate. And one more thing that I have realized, even like as of now at this stage, after having so much experience of 23, 24 years of experience, I don't need to give an interview in the companies, for example. But even after that, if I am uh, doing a certification, right? Then I am self motivated. I am having good confidence that okay, I am having confidence in myself. That is also very important. If you don't have a confidence in yourself, then basically what will happen? You will not crack the interview. So that is also very beneficial. So you should do the certification. I will suggest if you can afford the cost of the certification, you must do it.
Okay, Shashank is asking, how is AWS Lambda different from EC2?
Yeah, Shashank, I think I have answered this question already, but to answer you, AWS Lambda is mainly a platform as a service where you are giving the minimal information to AWS and doing the minimal activity to do the setup and configuration of your development environment or deployment environment in Lambda. For example, you are just telling the name of the Lambda function and you are telling the name of the environment like Python it is or Node.js. You don't need to know how to install Python. You don't need to know how to create a virtual environment. You don't need to know how to set up the dependencies. These things you don't need to know, right? So or even if you know, then you don't need to run all these commands, because these commands if you run, these are subject to errors sometimes, version mismatches, dependency broken, many problems occurs. So if you are using Lambda, these problems will not be faced by you. So Lambda is, you can say it is a next generation service where you need to do minimal thing, but EC2 instance is something where only the infrastructure you are giving to AWS. Rest of the things, starting from security, network configuration, and deployment, patching, everything you are doing yourself in EC2. So that is the difference.
Okay, so for Gen AI model, which one cloud version should I use?
Cloud version, I can't get it. Cloud version means AWS, Azure, cloud provider you are talking about? If,
Maybe.
yeah, if it is cloud provider, then you can use any cloud provider. I have used GCP, I have used what is this? AWS and Azure for Gen AI. I've used Oracle as well, but not for Gen AI. So I'm not sure about OCI, Oracle Cloud Interface. I'm not sure about it. But yeah, in AWS you can do for sure.
Okay, so let's move to our last question. I was using some Hugging Face model in my code, which requires me to download it. How much storage does AWS Lambda give?
Yeah, Hugging Face is a huge model actually. So to download it, we need huge storage. I think using AWS Lambda might not be a good option for us to choose, and we can do what we can set up a Hugging Face in a EC2 instance, and via some virtual networking between EC2 and Lambda, we can connect both together. Lambda can call the Hugging Face related libraries using EC2, and they can connect and they can talk to each other, right? So that might be the best, you say, kind of deployment architecture for you, because Hugging Face is a big library. Lambda is basically suggested, you should make a note of it. Lambda is basically suggested for lightweight APIs, which requires, you say, not a very big code and not a very big models and libraries to be deployed inside it. So Lambda is used meant for some, you say, lightweight things. So I can say up to 100 MB you can use. 100 MB is too much, it is very huge. I'm not saying 100 MB is less, but for Hugging Face 100 MB is less. So that's why I'm saying you should use some other service, not Lambda, for deploying Hugging Face kind of libraries.
Yeah, thank you, Atin. Thank you so much for answering all the questions. Many of the questions you have like answered in between session also. And I would like to tell if people like if you have any question, you can directly contact to him. He's active on LinkedIn. You can go to our Shine.com's LinkedIn page. We have tagged him on our post. You can directly connect with him. He will definitely give you answer, reply you there. And thank you so much, everyone who have joined us today. Thank you so much, Atin, to you also for delivering such an insightful session. We are grateful for the time and the energy which you have invested in sharing your knowledge. And everyone who have joined us, thank you for being a part of this learning experience. And as I told you, like still, if you have any question, please feel free to reach out to us or Atin directly. And the session recording will be available on Shine.com's YouTube channel. I have shared link also with you guys, but if you wouldn't find that link, you can directly search Shine.com on YouTube and you can check on our channel. All the recordings are available there. So we look forward to having you to join us in upcoming session. Until then, take care, keep learning, and have an amazing day. Once again, thank you so much, Adrin, for this session. It was a great session, actually. People are writing thank you to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Preeti.